Yeah. So,
Well, yeah. So what it means is the person, verse 18, was anyone called after he had been circumcised? What we have to understand this in my reading, this is not talking about a Jewish person.
okay, hang on just a second. Hang on. We're jumping ahead of ourselves. Let's read the passage for everyone. So 1 Corinthians 7:17 through 20. Only let each person lead the life that the Lord has assigned to him and to which God has called him. This is my rule in all the ecclesiae, which was anyone at the time of his call already circumcised. Let him not seek to remove the marks of circumcision. Was anyone at the time of his call uncircumcised? Let him not seek circumcision. For neither circumcision counts for anything, nor uncircumcision, but keeping the commandments of God. Each one should remain in the condition in which he was called.
Right, and the word condition there is the word calling. That NASB says condition, the net says situation in life, but it's literally in the calling.
Right.
So the idea is that there are two primary, and this, I think Rudolph also has an article called The Rule in All the Churches, because based on verse 17. So what's Paul's rule in all the churches? According to Rudolph, it's Jews stay Jews, Gentiles stay Gentiles, and there's different covenant ramifications for whichever calling you're in. It's like two lanes on the freeway.
Well, he's right about Jews stay Jews and Gentiles stay Gentiles.
Yeah.
But he's wrong about everything else.
And so, right. Because
let me jump in here for just a second and try to clarify a little bit of what my position is on this. As we've talked about, and I've talked about on this show many times, the idea of circumcision and other words. Okay, so let's use a different word for a few seconds. The word flesh can mean multiple different things within the biblical narrative. So, for instance, it can mean the body, the actual body. It can also mean like the calling of the flesh is like your desire towards sin, right? It can mean multiple different things. The same thing can happen for circumcision, and I've argued multiple times on this show, and so has Rob, and so has my father in his work as well, has argued that circumcision can mean multiple things, and one of those things is to go through some form of a, what word should we use? Conversion, to become a Jew. If quote marks, should we give a prize away for the person who can tell us how many quote marks we use in this show? Anyway, the point is that he says specifically in this passage, he says, let him not seek to, for neither circumcision counts for anything nor uncircumcision, but keeping the commandments of God. Circumcision is a commandment of God.
Right.
And so obviously circumcision has to be physical circumcision cannot be what he's talking about here. So what is he talking about? I believe that he's talking about the idea that a person, and this is what the Jerusalem Council is about as well, that a person has to go through this ritual conversion to be considered part of the covenant. And that's not the case. You don't have to go through some ritual conversion. You don't have to, quote unquote, become a Jew to be considered part of a covenant member. No, faith is what makes you a covenant member. And Paul argues this in Galatians, right? Who's the model that he uses for this? Abraham. Abraham was a covenant member because he believed God and it was counted to him as righteousness. And then after that, he was circumcised. And so the point that I think Paul is making here in 1 Corinthians is it doesn't matter if a person goes through some ritual conversion or not. Stay as you are. If you're a Gentile and you're viewed as a Gentile, be a Gentile. If you're a Jew and you're viewed as a Jew, be a Jew. But the point is don't go through some man-made, made-up religious ceremony to all of a sudden gain clout and status in a community because they have some man-made thing that says now you're part of the covenant. That's how I take it.
Yeah. And you have to understand also that, like verse 19, hepertome and he akrobustia, that is the circumcision group, or the idea of the group called the circumcision, and the idea of the group called the akrobustia, which literally means the foreskin.
Right. Yeah.
It's a group identity. It's trying to avoid the shame, because you have believers in Yeshua. They're not Jewish, and they're called shameful things. They're called, oh, you're a foreskin.
Yeah.
In other words, you don't belong. And
Yeah.
so people, if they believe that's real, oh my goodness, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. Therefore, sociologically, what happens? They want to try to please the people that are abusing them, to try to like reconcile and remove this mark of shame.
Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button and check out more videos from Messiah Matters.